Richtofen right now in Zombies is working alongside our characters Weaver, Carver, Grey, Strauss, and Maya, and Peck and Revanov. In Shattered Vale, we gave the Sentinel artifact to Sam, which Richtofen wanted to use to bring his family, Maya and Samuel, back from the dead, but because we messed it up, he's now got no other option, and it's the same with us, to work together to stop Sam. So in the next map, Janus Towers, I assume anyway, we are working as a team. But Richtofen could end up betraying us. And looking at all of the things he's done so far throughout the new Dark Ether timeline, in Cold War he betrayed us by hiding his identity as the director of Requiem and then having us imprisoned on Terminus Island. He betrayed or tricked Samantha by interrogating her in Cold War, along with taking samples of her DNA to create Ava and scans of her brain to create Sam, the synaptic algorithm module. But he is doing all of this in order to bring back his wife and son. None of this would happen, none of Cold War or none of the Black Ops 6 storyline, if Weaver and Samantha simply just didn't kill his family in the first place. If that event never happened, then everything we've seen Richtofen do wouldn't have played out. More than likely, he would have just lived a normal life. It was those two that have caused all of this, but where we've got to right now in the zombie storyline, we have teamed up with Richtofen to stop Sam, but there is something written on the walls in blood in Shattered Vale in the mansion that Richtofen was staying in, which says, "R will betray you." In fact, there's loads of writing in blood all over this mansion, but whoever's done this is warning us that R is going to betray us. And R can only be two people. It could be Revanov. I think he's a dark horse and I'll explain why later on, but more than likely it's Richtofen, right? Who is warning us that he's going to betray us? Could it be Panos? We saw blood written everywhere in Liberty Falls as well, which was where Panos was. And in that map, one message that stood out was Eddie is a liar, which is not only a throwback Easter egg to Teddy is a liar from World at War, but Richtofen did lie to Panos. Panos believed it was Richtofen's fault why the town of Liberty Falls got overrun by the undead and he became trapped in the Dark Ether. So maybe Panos is the culprit here. I couldn't say for sure, but we are being warned that R is going to betray us. Now, let's just say it is Richtofen. Well, we know already, although it seems like a lot of people have forgotten, that Weaver, Carver, Grey, and Strauss are going to die. In the Modern Warfare 3 intro cutscene, we saw them lying dead around the table. How they got themselves into that situation, we don't know yet. MW3 Zombies takes place between the events of Modern Warfare 2019 and Modern Warfare 2022, so sometime before the events of the Verdansk incident in 2021. BO6 Zombies takes place in 1991, so this right here is 30 years from now, but we don't know how long they'd been dead at this point, how long it would take for their bodies to get to this point of decay. They look quite rotten, so I'm guessing it's not days or months, it's years, but because this is canon, Weaver, Carver, Grey and Strauss die. And in the middle of this table were vials of Ethereum. Could it be Richtofen's betrayal got them into this situation? And you wouldn't blame him. In fact, I think everything he's done to them so far, imprisoning them in Terminus, keeping his identity a secret from them, is soft. At the end of the day, Samantha and Weaver killed his family, so you'd expect Richtofen to torture them as much as possible, and he hasn't all that much besides from Samantha a little bit in Cold War. Okay, he manipulated her to trapping herself in the Dark Ether at the end of Forsaken, but Weaver's still alive. I don't think he's gone through that much pain compared to what Richtofen has. If he straight up killed him, I wouldn't blame him either, but here we are in Shattered Vale and he's teamed up with them. So you would expect, even if they are friends now in quotation marks, and they work together in the next map, let's just say they do help Richtofen to bring his family back from the dead using the Sentinel artifact. Is that still enough for Richtofen to let it go? Or should he still betray them and exact on them what they did to him? In my opinion, he's still got every right to betray them, which could be what we saw in Modern Warfare 3 Zombies. Or, going back to Cold War in the map Forsaken, the Forsaken showed us a premonition or vision of what would happen to us should we defeat him. The Forsaken showed us this: Carver, Grey, Strauss and Weaver dead in a prison cell with "No one escapes alive" written in blood behind them, and a drawing of this woman that we've seen constantly throughout the Dark Ether story. And well, we did defeat the Forsaken, however, this event hasn't happened yet. So unless the Forsaken was lying to us, he was just trying to manipulate us again, we defeated him, which should mean, if it was truthful, this scenario right here is yet to play out, and it's going to. But this is different to how we saw them dead in Modern Warfare 3 Zombies. So maybe the Forsaken was just saying, Luke, you are going to die, but how wouldn't be exactly like this, because in MW3 they died sitting around the table, not up against the wall in some kind of cell. Either way though, both scenarios, Weaver, Carver, Grey and Strauss, die. That 100% is going to happen. It's just a question of how does it come to that? Which then takes me back to Revanov. What if the person writing "I will betray you" was not referring to Richtofen and was referring to Revanov? Because there is something very suspicious about him. In Modern Warfare 3 Zombies, he is still alive. Yet, as I explained, that game takes place 30 years in the future, and if you look at him, he looks just about as young as he did in 1991. Revanov doesn't look like he's aged. He's still fit. He looks healthy from the outside anyway. He was born in 1951, which would mean he would be 70 years of age. As of this point right here, if you look at him right there, does Revanov look 70? Although I will admit I have seen some pretty good looking 70-year-olds for their age. Granted, they've probably had a little bit of work done. I doubt Revanov has, so he doesn't look like a 70-year-old here. There is definitely something suspicious about him. And, well, he even says this.
You were part of Requiem.
Yes.
What happened to them?
Maxis sacrificed herself to end the outbreak. We promised we would find a way to rescue her. And when we failed, it was a blow. Some of us took it very hard. We vowed never to let this happen again.
So you're 0 for 2 on those promises?
But I am still here, am I not, Dr. Jensen? I am still fighting.
And here's the thing. You shouldn't be. That was 30 years ago, and look at you.
I have good genes.
Oh, that's a crock, and you know it. What was the focus of Requiem's Ethereum research?
Dr. Jensen, Ava, look, perhaps when the outbreak is contained, we will talk of the old days.
Fine. If that's how you want to play it. If you won't help me, I'll find my own answers.
In this scene, Revanov is speaking to his daughter Ava, and he says to her, "Look, I'm still here, aren't I? I'm still fighting." And she says back, "Well, that's the thing. You shouldn't be. It was over 30 years ago when you were fit and fighting the zombies. You're 70 now, you shouldn't be, but look at you, you still are." And Revanov says back, "I have good genes," to which Ava replies, "That's a load of shit. What was the focus of Requiem's Ethereum research?" To which Revanov stops her and says, "Look, when the outbreak is finished, then we'll talk of the old days." It's so obvious from this, there is something wrong with Revanov. He has done something which has allowed him to keep in this same shape that he was 30 years ago, to not become an old man incapable of fighting anymore. I mean, look at his muscles. This is not a normal 70-year-old. So it sounds like, and this is what Ava believes as well, Revanov did something with perhaps Requiem's Ethereum research, or maybe Omega's, that has meant he has been able to continue to stay in just as good a shape as he was 30 years ago. And he is the only one out of that group, Weaver, Carver, Gray, Strauss, we don't know Maya's situation, Peck, and Revanov. Revanov is the only one that we saw in that game. We don't know where Peck is, he could be dead. We don't know where Richtofen was in 2021, he could have been dead. Revanov was the only one alive because he was chosen.
We are dying, but we can ensure that someone will watch over you. We agreed Ravenov would be the best choice, especially given his connection to you.
Just before they died, Gray recorded a message for Ava where she basically told her, we, as in her, Strauss, Carver, and Weaver, are dying. But because Gray was Ava's surrogate mother, she says, they're dying, but they've chosen someone to look after her, and that person is Revanov, her father. Why did Weaver, Carver, Gray, and Strauss die? What of? And why didn't Revanov die of that same thing? We see them lying dead around this table, connected to these Ethereum vials. Gray almost makes it sound like she was dying due to the effects of the Dark Ether, but Revanov was also exposed to the Dark Ether just as much as she was. So was Peck and everyone else. Dark Ether exposure turns you into the undead, but as far as we know, it shouldn't make you die like this, where you just become a corpse and don't reanimate. That's not how the Dark Ether works. So all of them, Weaver, Carver, Gray, and Strauss, died of the exact same thing, but Revanov didn't, and they chose him to stay behind to look after Ava. Why did they choose him? There must have been a reason. Did Revanov do something to himself to not be affected by the same thing that Gray and the rest ended up succumbing to? From all of this, it doesn't sound like Revanov betrayed them in any way, but if this writing on the wall or will betray you is referring to Revanov, well, could it have something to do with the way they died in Modern Warfare 3? Could he have betrayed them in the sense that, unlike Weaver, Carver, Gray and Strauss, he didn't succumb to whatever caused them to die. He did something to himself that would allow him to live, maybe. Or maybe it's referring to Richtofen. And we also know it's gotta be one of the two. So there we go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, hopefully you've enjoyed the video today. If you have, drop a like rating. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest content on the channel. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.